So we're on to the third recording, which is specific to loading labor records into Maximo Fundamentals. So you can see here I'm on my Start Center, the Getting Started Start Center. And in the data loading portlet, the third item down is labor. So in this application, what labor is about is records that represent people who perform work. And when they perform work against a work order or a service request, the cost of their work, their time spent doing that work, is tracked against the work order or service request. So I will jump to the corresponding spreadsheet provided on the wiki, and you'll see there's one row here I will load as a labor record. In this case, it's Gus, the person is Gus, the technician, and we'll load him as a labor record. And if I jump to the instructions tab, again, there's instructions on what you're doing here for this specific load. And if I scroll down to the list of fields, a couple of things. You're obviously identifying the person ID and giving a labor code. Often they're the same value, but they don't have to be. You identify the org and the status. If you want to use the labor immediately, you would set the status to active. An optional setting is the craft. So when you look at Maximo Fundamentals, provided out of the box are a number of craft codes. These can be mechanics, plumbers, general laborers, any specialized labor that you track and you can apply a cost rate to. So when you assign a labor code, if you assign a craft to that labor, one benefit you get is that you can inherit the dollar rate from the craft code to the labor record, and that dollar amount will then be used on the corresponding work order or service request. And a person can have multiple craft codes. So depending on the type of work that person's doing, the charge for his work may change or may vary based on whether it's, the craft is an electrician versus just a general laborer. So once you determine the people, so you identify the people that should be loaded as labor codes. You fill out this spreadsheet, you identify the person ID, the labor code, which again, oftentimes is the same value, the org, and the status. And then optionally, if you are going to use crafts, you can identify the craft code or you can provide a rate. It's really your choice. And again, one person could be defined with many craft codes if that's what's needed. So now I save my spreadsheet, and then likewise I do a save as, and I save it as a CSV file, so I can use that file as the file to be imported in the application. So now I'll jump back to the labor application, select application import, and I'll browse for my most recent file, which is the labor craft, the CSV file, and I'll import it. The import was completed, and you can see a labor record created. The craft code of a mechanic is the default for this labor record. Now at this point, this user, Gus, when he logs into the system, he has the ability to open a work order and actually record actuals or labor actuals, basically his time against a work order, and the dollar rate can be charged against that work order based on his craft code he used. Once you've completed loading the labor data, you've now completed 3 loads: person user data, person group data, and labor data. With that completed, users can actually start using the system. Although there's master data to be entered, assets, locations, items, if you want to enter requests and perform work and they don't need to reference materials and locations, you just do it through simple, text in the description of the work order or service request. You can start using the system for simple requests now that your users are created. and are assigned to the proper security groups and person groups, and labor records are created for those people who will actually perform the work.